Hello. Hello, everyone. So, welcome to Book Talks with Naku. And we are on episode 3 of the Kingdom Scribes Series. Please excuse my voice, everyone, because I have like a really irritating throat for the past 2 days. So, just ignore it as best as you can. And yes, we have a very lovely guest joining us. We have a Christian author, IyanuOluwa, and I'm really excited for you all to meet her. So she's here right now. So hello, how are you today?
Hello, good evening. I'm
Hello.
good. How are you?
I'm really good. It's really nice to just be chatting with new authors. So I'm really excited to get to know a little bit more about you and about your books, especially. Okay, so just to start off, um, please let us know a little bit about yourself. So, where are you based, and what is a typical day in your life? So, how does that look?
Okay, my name is IyanuOluwa Olorode. I'm a Nigerian Christian fiction author living in Nigeria. A typical day in my life. I work a full-time job as a lawyer in a health maintenance organization, so a HMO. And so my typical day involves waking up early, commuting to work, doing work stuff, maybe listening to a few audiobooks while I work. Not tell them at work I said this. And just finding time to write on the weekend, probably while commuting. Yeah, pretty much what a typical day in my life looks like.
That sounds good. That sounds good. I think it's really nice because what I've noticed is a lot of writers, they're not just writers, but they actually have a life outside of writing. So when I'm like chatting to authors, I try and get to know just a little bit about themselves. So I'm like, please just introduce yourself. Like, don't talk to me about your books, okay? Like, first of all, like, who are you and everything. And I think it's quite nice just to know a little bit about everyone. So we're gonna start off with an icebreaker.
Okay.
So my question is, what is the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Hmm. Okay, so I think I got this last year, and I was going through a very difficult season in my life last year. Going through a lot of disappointments and everything, and someone told me that I should trust God. Um, God cannot mismanage your life, and that really stood out to me. She was like, if God could create the whole world, make sure the sun sets, the sun rises, everything is in order. If you could handle something of that magnitude, how little is your life in the grand scheme of things? And that really stuck out to me that I could trust God with whatever I was going through. And this same person about a few weeks ago said I should let God cook with my life. So yeah, so yeah, so
Amen.
those are the greatest pieces of advice I've received that I can remember right now.
Wow. Yes, let God cook. Oh my god. You should put that in your Instagram bio. Let God cook, guys. Amen. He knows everything. Praise
Amen. Yeah.
Jesus. Awesome. 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 So I have another, just like to know, because I found you on Instagram, on Bookstagram.
Yeah.
So how long have you been on Instagram sharing your books?
Okay, so I started off as a reader. I think I joined Bookstagram in 2020, but the Instagram book was after my life. I lost like 3 accounts, and before I got this one, so but sharing about my books personally, that will be towards the end of 2023 when I was sure I was getting published.
Yeah.
No, that's not accurate actually. So when I finished my debut novel in 2021, I started posting about it, but I took a long like 2 year break and then resumed posting about it in 2023.
Okay. Yeah, I think different authors they usually start off as an actual reader because obviously
Yeah,
authors are readers. They wouldn't be writing
yeah.
books if they weren't reading
Read it.
all the time. So yeah, so would you say that you kind of got into writing books because you were a reader?
Not exactly. I think I started writing when I was still little, around 6, and then I didn't think I liked reading as much as I loved writing. But then as I grew up, life happened and it became easier to read than write. So I became a reader
Yeah.
from them. I started writing long before I became a reader.
That's interesting. That is quite interesting. I think everybody's different. Everyone's on a different path. Um, but yeah, were there any books that you read that inspired you along your writing journey?
Yeah. I'd say Once Upon a First Love by Sophia Motosha. Yeah, that book brought me out of a really dark season. So that book is really dear to my heart, and it inspired me to want to give people hope through Christian fiction. People who know me will say I talk about this book a lot, but I do. It was
Yeah.
a really important book in my writing journey. And then I'd
Wow.
say I discovered Francine Rivers around the same time I read Once Upon a First Love, to
Yeah.
circa 2020. To reading books like the Atonement Child, Redeeming Love, and the first two books in the Mark of the Lion series, trilogy rather. So yeah, those books inspired me a lot.
Wow. See, everyone keeps talking about this Mark of the Lion series, Francine Rivers. I'm just
You should
ignoring.
read them. You should read them. I saw your post about trying to
Yes,
get people to convince you to read it. You should
I
read it
have
actually.
them. I have the books. I just look at them and I just ignore them. They're calling out to me. They're like, read us, please. And I'm like,
I think
no.
I think you should because Hadassah is the main character in book 1 and 2, I think. And yeah, her face really challenged me when I read it. Like staying strong for God in an environment where you are the only one who's a Christian. That really that really challenged my faith. Not compromising, not learning to pray the way she prayed to God about every single thing, and trusting God and obeying God even above her desires. This one was living in the highest time of Roman persecution of Christians. So
Yeah,
you should read it. I don't want to spoil it for you. You should read it. It
no.
will challenge your faith. Faith structure.
Yes, I will definitely read it. You know what I think? I think I need to actually read the ebook because I have the book, but I feel like it's a bit intimidating because it's so
Yes, it
big.
is. It is. It is. I read
And
the ebook, so it was easier to read the ebook, just going on. But I recently got the gift set of the 3 books, and looking at them, it's so discouraging.
yes, okay, I'm definitely gonna switch to my Kindle then because I want to
Yeah.
get through. I really want to read. I'm just intimidated by the pages, the beautiful pages. Okay, it's beautiful, Francie Rivers. I love you, but yes. All right, so let's chat about your books since we already started chatting about books. So, what inspired you to start writing Christian romance?
Okay. Um, I love the romance genre. I grew up on fairy tales, then watching rom-com, then reading romance books. So I love romance. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't exactly call myself a romance author because, yeah, while romance is either going to be the genre I write or the heavy subplot in what I write, I just, I think I just prefer Christian fiction because I have some books lined up that aren't going to be romance. But I love love, I love romance, so it's going to be part of what I do. But I didn't start writing Christian fiction until 2021,
Mm-hmm.
and that season in my life, I was going through writer's block
Yeah.
because I'd recently just rededicated my life to Christ, and I knew I wasn't going to be writing regular secular romance anymore.
Mm.
But I didn't know what else to write because that's all I've been writing since I started taking writing seriously. So I was in church one Sunday, and this couple had recently gotten married, and it kind of sparked like a controversy in church because the man was like the goody. I don't want to say goody two shoes, but he looked like a good Christian, and his wife didn't look to be on the same spiritual level as him. That sort of drama, and people were talking about it. Church drama, church stuff. And I was just
Yeah.
wondering, what if theirs was a Hosea and Gomer story?
Wow. That is, you know what? I was reading a review of one of your books, and the people were like, the drama this woman writes in her book. I'm just like, this is even a romance. Are we reading romance, guys? Because that's the thing for me. I love reading romance books that are like gritty because I love it when people get to like the heart, like the issues of the heart, and like
Yeah.
what is relatable, like the issues that people are actually going through, especially in the church. I really like reading books about like broken relationships, divorce,
Mm.
secrets, just things that people
Yeah.
don't normally want to talk about.
The rest about. Yeah.
But also incorporating like faith and like how God can like help people in the challenges that they face every day. So
Hmm.
for you, like how important is it to you that you incorporate like the Bible into your books? And is there any like scriptures that helped you to, I guess, continue to stay writing like books that glorify God?
Okay, so incorporating the Bible into my books is like super important for me. Like most of my books, some of them, most of them, at least the ones I have planned out, I got inspiration from them while reading the Bible, and just because I once came across a quote by Francis Rivers and said that if you take Jesus out of Christian fiction, then it isn't Christian fiction anymore, and that's what differentiates Christian fiction from regular Korean romance or stuff like that. So the Christ and the Bible and God are like central to my books, and if you take them out, they'll be like a huge plot hole because these series that I'm currently working on, so my books are the first two in a book interconnected standalone series. So this series is titled The Way Home, and it's not just the way home to your parents' home, it's your way home back to God, to the Bible and faith and God, Christ, they are like central to my book. So your question about is there any Bible verse that has kept me going? I won't say there is. I know most Christian fiction authors have like a central Bible verse
Yeah.
to their that like describe their writing or like like call it a slogan or something. But
Mhm.
I've tried to do that, but I haven't found one yet.
Wow. No,
Maybe God will give me that. But
no, yes. I think you said it so perfectly. Like you're just focusing on scripture, like you're focusing on the Bible, you're focusing on like what is actually Christian fiction is talking about Christianity. Because I think in some I've read some Christian books, right? And the author will say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a Christian," but you're reading the book and they've not even mentioned like the key themes of our faith, like the important topics that are
Mhm.
important to God. And then you wonder to yourself, like, what is what's the publisher talking about? What is going on? Like I came here to learn more about Jesus, like not just like the lovey dovey like romance stuff, but you know?
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I once read a book and maybe it was a miscategorization, but I was expecting Christian fiction and got a clean romance and I felt cheated. That season in my life I was going through writer's block
Yeah.
because I'd recently just rededicated my life to Christ and I knew I wasn't going to be writing regular secular romance anymore.
Hmm.
But I didn't know what else to write because that's all I've been writing since I started taking writing seriously. So I was in church one Sunday and this couple had recently gotten married and it kind of sparked like a controversy in church because the man was like the goody. I don't want to say goody two shoes, but he looked like a good Christian, and his wife didn't look to be on the same spiritual level as him. That sort of drama, and people were talking about it. Church drama, church stuff. And I was just
Yeah.
wondering, what if theirs was a Hosea and Gomer story?
Wow. That is, you know what? I was reading a review of one of your books, and the people were like, the drama this woman writes in her book. I'm just like, this is even a romance. Are we reading romance, guys? Because that's the thing for me. I love reading romance books that are like gritty because I love it when people get to like the heart, like the issues of the heart, and like
Yeah.
what is relatable, like the issues that people are actually going through, especially in the church. I really like reading books about like broken relationships, divorce, secrets, just things that people
Yeah.
don't normally want to talk about.
The right about. Yeah.
But also incorporating like faith and like how God can like help people in the challenges that they face every day. So
Mm-hmm.
for you, like how important is it to you that you incorporate like the Bible into your books? And is there any like scriptures that helped you to, I guess, continue to stay writing like books that glorify God?
Okay, so incorporating the Bible into my books is like super important for me. Like most of my books, some of them, most of them, at least the ones I have planned out, I got inspiration from them while reading the Bible, and just because I once came across a quote by Francis Rivers and said that if you take Jesus out of Christian fiction, then it isn't Christian fiction anymore, and that's what differentiates Christian fiction from regular Korean romance or stuff like that. So the Christ and the Bible and God are like central to my books, and if you take them out, they'll be like a huge plot hole because these series that I'm currently working on, so my books are the first two in a book interconnected standalone series. So this series is titled The Way Home, and it's not just the way home to your parents' home, it's your way home back to God, to the Bible and faith and God, Christ, yeah, like central to my book. So your question about is there any Bible verse that has kept me going? I wouldn't say there is. I know most Christian fiction authors have like a central Bible verse
Yeah.
to their that like describe their writing or like like call it a slogan or something. But
Mhm.
I've tried to do that, but I haven't found one yet.
Wow. No,
Maybe God will give me that. But
no, yes. I think you said it so perfectly. Like you're just focusing on scripture, like you're focusing on the Bible, you're focusing on like what is actually Christian fiction is talking about Christianity. Because I think in some I've read some Christian books, right? And the author will say, "Oh, by the way, I'm a Christian," but you're reading the book and they've not even mentioned like the key themes of our faith, like the important topics that are important to God. And then you wonder to yourself, like, what is what's the publisher talking about? What is going on? Like I came here to learn more about Jesus, like not just like the lovey-dovey like romance stuff, but you know?
yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I once read a book and maybe it was a miscategorization, but I was expecting Christian fiction and got a clean romance, and I felt cheated because if you had told me it was a clean romance, I would have read it anyway. But I came into this book expecting to like learn something, build my faith,
Yeah.
discover faith things and stuff like that. Yeah,
Yeah, that's actually
so
quite interesting. Yeah, that's interesting because I think even a lot of um people with faith, they or like say they have a faith in Jesus and they're writing clean romance. There's nothing wrong with that, but
yeah,
for us who want to be edified, like who know that like who know that like they need the Bible like as scripture, like we're gonna be looking for those little nuggets
yeah,
of like the Bible, and it's hard sometimes because you wanna read something that is like cute, and because we love the love, but we want the real love. We want the real love of God.
Yeah.
So yeah. So let's chat about your book. So one of your books. So I want to talk about Love's Direction. Okay.
Okay.
So
I.
let's talk about that. Let's talk about that. Okay. Because
Okay.
I first of all discovered that book through Love's Beacon. So when that book came out, that's because I was like, oh my gosh, the cover is so pretty. Like we have a black queen. Amen. Praise God. And then I was like, oh my gosh, this is like book two, so I need to look through book one first. But there were so many reviews of Love's Beacon popping up on my For You page. So I was like, okay, I'm not, I think you're on TikTok too, are you not?
Okay, so you can read either book first. And they are interconnected standalone, so you can read one without reading the other. But you get the gist about each of the main characters' lines if you read the two books. So you can go ahead and read Love Beacon if you haven't read it. So Love's Direction. Funny how this one also started in church. um we were in Sunday school and the teacher was speaking about I think new birth or the changes a Christian goes through once they give their life to Christ, and he was cracking a joke. He said, would an unbeliever who had two wives, because polygamy is a thing here in Nigeria, will an unbeliever who had two wives divorce one when he gave his life to Christ, and how would he pick that one? So we all laughed about it in church because that was a moral dilemma that no one had an answer to. And I started stewing about it, that what if this was the backstory sort of a character? Like how would you
Mm,
navigate that? So in my book Lost Direction, it didn't exactly go that route.
yeah.
The the man in question was married as an unbeliever, and
Mm-hmm.
he fell in love with a younger woman, so he divorced his wife and married the younger woman. And then when
Mm.
he gave his life to God, he divorced the younger woman and went back to his first wife. So
Wow.
that caused a lot of family drama because he abandoned his second wife
Mm.
and his child from that marriage. And that child is the main character of Love's Direction, Julia. And she has
Yeah.
this childhood abandonment, hurt, not feeling good
Mm.
enough for either of her parents because
Aw.
she suffers after the divorce. Her mother neglects her, and then she falls in love with um the her godmother's son, her godmother's son, and their relationship ends when he's when he gives his life to Christ, and it's like history repeating itself in some sort of way. So he breaks her heart when he gives his life to Christ, and she just goes up hurt, vengeful, and some other things happen along the way that just makes matters worse.
Yeah.
And then the story starts out with her quest for revenge. So yeah, that's what
Wow.
Lost Direction is about.
For
In
sure.
summary.
No, it's good. I think you gave a perfect summary because a lot happens. A lot happens. I've not read it yet, but I've definitely seen a lot of reviews, and like the cover is beautiful. Like you look at the cover and
Thank
you're like, "Oh,
you.
this is a cute cover," but you start reading the book, you're like, "Oh my gosh, there's a lot that happens." There's a lot that happens, especially when it's about the church and like black people and just African culture. This is
Yeah.
something is about to go down. Like, something is about to go down. Buckle up, everyone. So, what would you say Love's Beacon is about? What would you say, like, what are the themes of Love's Beacon?
Okay, so Love Beacon is the first book I started writing, and it's really heavy on the way home message of finding your way home back to God. So it's a loose retelling of the Fuji and Goma story. So she's not a prostitute, but she's rich, she's successful, and she feels like she can live life on her terms, without having God in it. Because she used to be a Christian, but she strayed away from the faith, and she strayed from the faith, and the book is about her finding her way back to God and her romance because one of the things on her checklist is to marry the love of her life, who seems unattainable because he's a Christian now. So, and there's this back and forth, you know, a la Goma and Hosea, because that couple broke up quite a number of times and they came back, just showing how God is relentless in his pursuit to catch that stuff. So that's the message central theme in Love Secret. I hope I'm not spoiling it.
No, you're not spoiling it. I'm wondering, were you inspired by Redeeming Love?
Sorry?
Were you inspired by Francine Rivers?
Not exactly, but I know it's Jose and Goma's retelling too, and I loved it. I read it. I loved it, but it's kind of different because Redeeming Love kind of stays true to the um
Yeah.
to the original story. It's really closer to the original story, but mine is more of a loose retelling. Just it takes more of the let's say the deeper hidden meaning, not actually following the outer story. If that explains it, yeah. So
Yeah,
it's
and
not exactly inspired by Redeeming Love, but you could pick out a few similarities in
yeah,
terms
yeah.
of the hidden meaning. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. I think even because obviously it's a modern love story, okay?
Yeah.
And the female main character is like she's like a boss girl,
Yeah.
got her things. I love it when when the girl is just like showing off, she's like this sweet girl, yes. But how did you have a lot of like fun like creating the characters? And just how did you get inspiration for creating them?
Okay, so the last novel I wrote before I started writing Christian fiction, some of my characters were in them. So I kind of extracted them from them. Um Even when I was writing that story in 2019, 2020, I knew I was going to write a kind of Rosie and Goma story about Regina and Jacob. They were featured in that story, but they were little children then. So I love exploring what it was being grown up would be for
Yeah.
them. And maybe if story, the original story, where they came from, and everyone will get to see what they were like growing up. So and one thing that inspires me or motivates me as a writer, or sorry, I grew up. Okay, I won't say grew up. I watched a lot of K drama as a teenager, and K drama. If you watch some of them, you see most of the main characters don't have your regular run of the occupation. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
the first K drama I watched, he was a chef and he was a plastic surgeon. And
Yeah.
coming from someone who grew up watching Hollywood and Nollywood, those were the first K drama I watched. He was a chef and he was a plastic surgeon. And
Yeah.
coming from someone who grew up watching Hollywood and Nollywood, those were regular people you meet in movies. You see, so you see hotelier and then Harris and some other fancy jobs like that. So I wanted to recreate that in my book. So in
Wow.
Love's Beacon, she's a cosmetic chemist turned
Mm-hmm.
CEO. So she owns her own makeup brand and skincare brand. And he's an orthopedic surgeon. I don't know why I picked that of all things, but I guess some place in his childhood, like he said in the book,
Yeah.
he grew up with his grandparents and his grandmother had arthritis. So
Mm-hmm.
I thought it makes sense for him to want to become an orthopedic surgeon.
No.
And then in
Yeah.
the Love's
No.
direction, he's a pilot and she's a venture capitalist.
Oh
So,
wow.
yeah, I just love mixing and matching them like that. So
No.
this,
Yeah.
okay.
I love it.
So this,
I think
thank you.
even I was interviewing another author and their her main characters are also like medical students. They're professionals in medicine, and it's so crazy
Yeah.
because this is probably like the this third time I'm hearing a book have like the main character is like, he works in healthcare, and I
Mhm.
love it. I actually really do love reading books where the main character, he's in that kind of profession. He might be a doctor. I think in Joanne and Bola's book, one of her,
Yeah.
I
The first
think,
book in the series, or the second?
yeah, one of them is
The
a
second.
doctor, or it could be the new one that she's coming out with. Look at us, we're already sponsoring. We're already, yeah, one of the main characters is a doctor, and I love it. I'm just like, okay, let us know, okay. But it's really interesting, and I also love how you also incorporate, the kids from like the past books or past books that you've created. You kind of watch them grow up yourself, and I like
Yeah.
that because that's like character development. You get to have a lot of fun creating new characters, their personalities, what are they doing in life, and yeah, I love it. Interesting. Interesting. So I want to ask also, how much of your own life experiences do you add into your own book?
So I was thinking about this recently, and there is a little and there is a lot. Because what my characters go through in terms of their life journeys are very much different from mine. They couldn't be more different. Um,
I.
but then there are little experiences, little quirks that come from me and
Oh.
my life. So the main characters in Love Beacon, they both love music, and I happily bestow that trait on them from my life. But just little things. That was love for chocolate came from me. Um,
Yes.
Regina's habit of stealing her sister's clothes came from me and my sister. So little
Yes.
things like that. Yeah, I happily bestow them on my characters. Because my characters are real to me, so they should have like real traits. But then to be serious, some of the issues they go through, some of their faith journeys are also inspired from mine. Like learning to deal with disappointment, particularly Regina's story about her faith journey, especially as an undergraduate struggling with her grades. That came from my story because my struggle with my grades led me down a path far from God,
Mm,
and I just wanted to encourage anyone who's struggling with grades because as an African living in Africa, you get told the story that you have to go to school, get good grades, get a good job to make your
mm,
life better. And that was Regina's plan because right from time she knew she wanted to have a business and she wanted good
yeah.
grades, and those grades stopped coming. And rather than hold on to God no matter what comes, she decided to do life on her own terms. Sorry. She decided to do life on her own
Yeah.
terms and she got burnt for it. So
Mm,
that I wanted to offer that encouragement for my faith journey. And in my first book, the male main character struggles with guilt and shame from his past life, and that came a lot from where I was in that season when I was writing that book. Learning to trust that God had forgiven me and that He has a very bad memory of what my sins were. So that inspired that story. And in my current book, my character is learning to trust God even through disappointments when things aren't working out. Trust that when things aren't working out doesn't mean that God has to do things.
wow, that's good. So you're definitely putting a lot of yourself into your book.
Yeah.
But we love it. We love it. Even myself, like I'm trying to create characters and I find myself like without even knowing it, like unconsciously I like insert some of their like my own quirks, some like some awkward things that I do. I'm like, oh, she better do this. This will be so funny to talk about. But then I'm like, God, I'm just exposing myself. God, I'm exposing myself. Why am I doing this? And I think it's also because we also want like authors, we also want readers to get to know a little bit about ourselves as well, and
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything wrong with saying, hey, by the way, like this is why I made her like this because I'm the same way. Or I've even heard like some people who write romance will say, "Oh, my husband told me that, I put something in,
Yeah.
that he does, or so, or like a situation the way they went through in life, and he reads it, and she's like, "Oh my gosh, like you weren't supposed to know about this." I just love it. It's so fun. It's fun. We love it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, has your family read your books, or or let me just know, like, did your parents know you're writing a book? Your sisters?
Okay, so I happen to be the only reader in this family, which is really hard.
Oh,
But my sister used to read my books when we were much younger. But I guess as she grew older, she stopped loving reading. My mom reads. I think I got that from her, but not too much anymore. I have been begging her for the last 3 months to finish reading my books.
she
But
needs.
she loves to read as she goes to she favors the book, taking her time. But yeah, they knew I was writing. They supported me. I think the first person to read my book way back then when I wrote them in the little notebooks was my sister. So they knew that and they supported me. When I took a break from writing in 2022 to 2023, my mom kept on asking me, "Aren't you going to finish your book? Aren't you going to finish your story?" And they were all supportive when I
Oh,
finally published and printed my book.
that's
So yeah.
amazing. Oh, I love that. We love a supportive family.
Mhm.
Well, that is so true. Like, I don't think every family is gonna have a reader, but
Yeah.
there has to be someone. Okay, we need readers. Like for me, I'm like the only reader in my family. Kind of. My little sister is like 14. She's kind of just gotten into reading. She actually bought a bookshelf yesterday, and I was like, "You bought
Oh,
a
that's so
bookshelf?"
cute.
I was like, "You bought a bookshelf? You didn't even tell me you bought a bookshelf." And so I'm just like, "So what are you gonna be reading, honey? What are you gonna be reading? It better be clean romance. It better be Christian fiction." Because we're not bringing none of that nonsense in this house. Okay, so but what she would usually do is she would usually read some of my books, but I don't think she's
Yeah.
interested in reading my books anymore. I don't know why, because I have so many. It is what it is, though. It is what it is. So, just for like new writers, because there's a lot of people who are just watching interviews. Someone might be watching this and being like, "I want to write books like Yanu. I want to write books about love, about God." What encouragement would you give to a woman who herself she wants to write a book, but she doesn't know where to start? What encouragement would you give to somebody like that?
Okay, so two pieces of advice. First, I'd say start, enjoy it, tell yourself the story. I think when I started writing Christian fiction, I was all about telling myself the story, falling in love with the characters, figuring out, creating Pinterest boards, those sort of things for start. If you can get alpha readers, do people who can give you feedback and people who motivate you to finish the story because that really helps me. And yeah, just be intentional about growing your craft, but don't let that deter you from writing. So I know a lot of people get fixated or I want the first draft to be perfect, first chapter to be perfect, but it's not going to be perfect. Very
Yeah,
few people write
true.
perfect first chapters. Just tell yourself the story, fall in love with the story, become your own biggest fan, and
Yes.
the second, yeah, and the second will be to trust God with the process. Even as you're writing, especially if you're going to be writing Christian fiction, trust God with the process. Don't be too hasty. It's really challenging in the world we live in, especially on Bookstagram where you see new readers become writers. People get announcing their publishing deals, announcing their sales on Amazon and Kindle, and you feel like, oh, I gotta do this, I gotta do this, I gotta do this. Trust God with the process, especially if you're writing Christian fiction. Trust God with the process. Don't try to be too fast. Let Him lead you, and He will show up for you. that has been evident in my life, and it's a lesson that I keep on learning. So yeah.
Amen. You heard her, everyone. You better be taking notes, okay? But it's so true. I think comparison is a thief of joy because there's so
Yeah,
many authors. Like I'm learning that there's like new authors every day, and
yeah,
they're always publishing books. Like there's always gonna be a new book. Like yesterday there was probably a book. Today there's probably a book being published now. And I think that's also just it's also encouraging. I feel like because the Bible says that there is a time and season for everything. So
everything. Yeah,
so just trust God because the time that you said you publish a book is not going to be the same as your friend over here on the
mhm,
left. Okay, it's not going to be the same time that Ayana writes her book and publishes her book. She's probably still writing her book. She probably is. So just don't be too hard on yourself. Because I think God is very intentional and he knows what he's doing in our lives. And if you are trusting him, um, to write the book, it's his book. Okay, if you're living a life that is wanting to glorify God, it's his book at the end of the day. So there's nothing to worry about. There's truly nothing to worry about. So now we're moving on to the last segment of the chat. Okay,
okay.
and these are the hotspot questions. So the first question is, if you could step into the pages of any romance novel for a day, which one would you choose and why?
The first one. Okay, I have to think.
Yes.
Um, any romance novel for a day, which one would I choose?
It can be your favorite one. It doesn't have to
Hmm.
be.
The first book, I want to say my book, but that won't be totally honest. The first book that came to my head as I was reading was Blue Roses by Tokoro Motosho. Yeah. That's the it's a feel good romance. The main character is plus size. Um, she's also she's an EA to a CEO, but she comes from a really wealthy family and hides this like a hidden identity sort of thing. But she has congenital anosmia. I hope I said that right. And that's the only thing I don't like about that.
Oh.
Maybe I okay. I love the book. I love that representation, but maybe I wouldn't choose that because I can't imagine a world where I wouldn't be able to smell anything. So,
Oh.
but she handled that what's the word? She handled that with a lot of grace and just representing people that go through that. I hadn't read about it, I hadn't heard about it before, and it was new for me. But the reason why I'd love to go into the pages of that book is because it was so good. It was so gave you all the feels, and it talked
Uh-huh.
about adoption and dealing with an orphan spirit, and that
Yeah.
was something I've experienced.
Oh.
Feeling like nobody loves you, nobody cares for you, you're not wanted, but that isn't true, and I love that book for that. And it just handles some really delicate issues like learning to love the children your parents had from infidelity. Like that was hard, but I love everything about that book. And of course, the main character loves chocolate, so no more reason to love it.
It's a
But it was a
win-win.
really yeah, it was a really good feel good romance. So, yeah,
Love it. What is the book called again? Just to let
Blue
everyone
Roses,
know.
Blue
Blue.
Roses by Tokoro Motosho. Yeah.
Okay. Go check out everyone. Go check it out. Okay, so our next hotspot question is, if you could wake up tomorrow with one extraordinary talent, what would it be?
Hmm. If you had asked me this like 5 years ago, I would have said telepathy and telekinesis a la Jane Grace.
Oh my god. That's
Oh.
mine. That's mine.
But right now, I don't think I want any extraordinary talents because, in the words of Oh, I can't believe I've forgotten his name. Mr. Parker's uncle. Jesus, man. I've forgotten his name.
Oh my. I don't even remember. I don't even remember.
Uncle Ben. Yeah, Uncle Ben. Yeah. With great power comes great responsibility. And I don't want no great responsibility. I just want to live my
Oh my
an
god.
ordinary life. So
Really?
yeah, yeah. But
Uh,
I guess if I have to pick one, I'll be to the ability to write multiple books in a year. Yeah, that'd be great.
wow, you just cheated. That's a cheat. You cheated. That doesn't count. That doesn't count. But we'll let it slide for today. Okay, we'll let it slide. So we have two more questions. So the next one
Okay.
is: suppose your fictional characters joined you at the dinner table. What would you cook for them? It can be any from any book.
Okay. I guess I'll cook my favorite meal for them. Because my characters, at least the main characters of my book have a wide range of tastes. So I just cook them my favorite food. I hope they enjoy it. If they don't, too bad. Um, so that would be fried plantain and eggs.
Hey, fried plantain. We love plantain. I don't think they'll be complaining since they're Nigerian. I don't think they'll be complaining much. They'll be like, yes, bring them down, 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 down. Honestly, it'll be good. I believe that you can cook. I do believe that you can cook. Piece of advice to your 15-year-old self, what would it be?
Mm, wow.
One piece of advice. One piece of advice.
Maybe I would have told her not to check out what romance novels were. Yeah, my 15-year-old self was very curious, and reading a lot of romance novels sent her down a very dark path. So I told her to wait. And maybe check out Karen King's Free first, because I had the opportunity to do that and didn't, and that kind of shaped my taste in books as a teenager. So yeah. Um, don't be eager to check out what romance novels are like. Don't be eager to know what the force is about. Um, yeah, that's what I was telling my 16-year-old. So,
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I think when we're 15, we're very curious. We want to know
hmm
everything. But I think boundaries,
yeah.
boundaries, and just make sure that you know what you're doing. You're doing it
hmm
properly. Yes. So that is the last question, but I just want to just ask you a little, just one more.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
what would you say to somebody who has never read a Christian romance before, or they're a bit wary and they don't know what it is?
Hmm. That's a very serious question. Um. So most of the things I see online, people think Christian romance is preaching, Christian romance is boring, but it's not. And especially if the person I'm going to be speaking to is a Christian, I'd say Christian romance offers, especially Christian fiction, offers you a way to see practicality to your faith. We all experience feelings of love, and we all want to be cherished, and those lovey-dovey things, especially when you see couple go reels on social media. So yeah, but life is more than just romance, and Christian fiction offers you a way to see that. It offers you a way to deal with your emotions, at least if you're reading a good book. It shows you ways to honor God even in your relationship, if a person is in a relationship. Shows you that God writes beautiful stories of someone who's been jaded or doesn't believe in love. So I'd say Christian fiction is a genre that can offer you the means to trust God in your life, in your relationship, if you read a good book. Please, that caveat is there if you read a good book. And that's the way to deepen your faith, because when you read Christian romance, you're not just learning about the love stories. You see these characters on their fake journeys, and you learn from them. You learn to trust God. You learn I think you learn to obey God. Yeah, not just trusting God, obeying God, and Christian fiction can do that for you. So that's what I've felt so much. And you'll be in for a really great time because
Yeah,
I've read a lot of great Christian romance that take you on beautiful journeys. So yeah.
definitely. I think it's just very inspiring. And they're new. The thing is, there are so many different genres. And
Yeah.
even when it comes to Christian romance, there's romance based on different topics. Like there's even romance
Mm-hmm.
about mafia, like Christian mafia romance. Like
Yeah.
who would have thought that you can write a mafia story that glorifies God? So there are actually so many books that are actually edifying in the romance sphere, and I think a lot of people are looking for that because there's so many secular books on romance where they don't really dive into the true meaning of love
Mm-hmm.
in a fruitful way that is honoring God. But I think with more Christian authors, it doesn't have to be romance as long as it's we're writing with God on mind. I think
Mm-hmm.
it's bringing people closer to the gospel, and that is what Christian romance should do. It should glorify God, but also edify the believer as well. So
Yeah.
I think you're doing a great job with that.
Thank you.
Great job with that. And just to end off, how has the reviews been so far with your newest book?
Okay, so it's not so new. It was published last year. But every author is scamming for reviews. So if you're listening to
Yeah.
this and you've read my book and you haven't left a review, please go through that. Reviews help authors a lot. But the reviews that I've received so far, they encourage me, especially when I see reviews that get the heart of the message. Um, yeah, because my books are to glorify God, and especially the books in this particular series to show people that you're never too far gone. You can always find your way back home to God. And this afternoon, I saw a review that just, yes, the person got the message. And I hope that anyone who encounters my books feels encouraged, even if not by, feels encouraged by the story, by the message, finds a character they can relate to, even if not the main character, a side character that will just encourage you, build up your faith. Um, yeah, the reviews so far have been encouraging.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't gotten in bad review yet.
Praise
Okay, I
God.
have that no, I have. I got a on one of the platform my books was on a half star review. That the
Oh,
drama in Love Sicker was too much, and that
really?
was it.
They're
But
mad
that
about drama.
didn't.
Really?
That didn't discourage me. Because yes, I love books with drama and I like books with drama, and I guess that person wasn't my ideal reader. So if you love books with drama, gritty Christian fiction, you'll love my book.
Yes,
So
I do.
I wasn't mad about that because one thing I realized is that your book isn't meant for everyone. And I'm grateful that the people who have read my book so far, or the majority of the people who have left reviews, are books that are people that could relate to my books, people that I had in mind while writing. So, yeah.
Wow. Amen. Very well said. Yeah, it's all about finding the right audience. And I think you're doing really good with finding your audience. And obviously reviews matter, but what matters the most is, that you're writing your book. It's your
Mm-hmm,
book, and you're doing what you're passionate about, and it glorifies God. So we thank him.
mm-hmm.
So thank you so much for coming on to the podcast.
Thank you for
And
having me.
yes, it was lovely getting to meet you and just learning a little bit more about who you are and about your books. So everybody definitely go check out her books, okay? You've heard it all today, okay? You have no excuse, okay? Because are they on Kindle Unlimited?
No, but I don't know if I should announce this yet, but they will be. Not sure
Mm-hmm.
when, but they
Okay.
will be.
Yes, but you can order the paperbacks on Amazon, and I think, yeah, they're all out. Pretty much two of her books, so definitely go check them out, everyone. And I'll put everything, all her details. I'll put them in the description, so you can
Thank,
you can you can check them out.
thank you.